Alright, hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to be doing a demo review here for Lemo. And for the rest of my demo reviews here, I'm going to actually be doing them on Twitch and porting them over to YouTube, because for my demo reviews, it takes about 3 hours to 3 hours to render and 4 or 5 hours to upload. It's a little bit too much, and my brother actually works from home, so I can't even upload all the time. I have certain hours I can upload on. It's a huge fucking hassle. Okay, so quality's gonna go down just a tad, but I'm gonna be doing them on Twitch and then porting them over. So on piston round, Glock armor, perfectly fine. I prefer if you hug the inside wall, because people are going to be throwing that flash quite a bit into A main here, and if you're on the right there, you're going to get basically screwed by it, but hugging the right side wall is also perfectly fine. You got to make sure when you're running out, you saw yourself running out there, Nemo, you need to be, like, strafing left and then, like, crouching up and down, because running directly at someone is only ever going to end up in you dying, especially if you're just spamming your Glock. Usually you don't want to be spamming your Glock quite that much. You want to be, like, shooting, like, tap, and then tap, tap, tap. You don't want to be spraying, like, entirely. It's just a little bit too much. You're never going to get real accuracy, whereas if you're kind of leaving just a tiny bit of time between shots, you're actually going to find yourself being really accurate. So what I would have liked there is if instead of running at the guy, Lemo here just kind of strafed left and right, crouching up and down, and shot a little bit slower. It's kind of dumb that you have to do that, but that's just the way pistol rounds are, and they're not changing anytime soon. So it is what it is, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and that's what you gotta do. Here, I believe Lemo was the man that needed to push through that smoke as fast as possible, because Lemo, you were the first guy up in that smoke, and look, the rotate's already coming in, right? There's no reason for you guys to be staying hiding in A main. Actually, I guess with the bomb over at B, it does make sense, but they shouldn't be rotating that hard if the bomb's still over at B. They should have at least one guy at B, and if one guy's at B, then Mao's not getting in. For some reason, they rotated all four, but you can't really expect them to rotate all four like that. If they have one guy at B, Mao is not getting in, so this fake doesn't work. The only way this fake should work is if the whole terrorist team here starts to push out into this A site and get a couple kills, because all that's going to happen with you guys staying back here is they're either going to recognize that it's a fake, or they're going to rotate people in, and you're going to have no chance of actually doing anything in the first place. And now, actually, because he didn't throw the fake well enough, Mao is just sitting here, and the guy rotated off. That's Mao's fault, really. Mao should have been able to recognize that they did rotate off. You can hear it. But I guess he didn't. Taking these long-range engagements are not good with the Tech 9. You should really be grouping up with your team over here and heading right into B site, because that's the only way you're going to win the round. Taking this engagement, especially after he shot at you the first time with the FAMAS, is definitely not a good thing, because he's got a fucking FAMAS. It's just not going to work out. And this is just a lot of indecision here. Going out mid, in general, not really a good thing, especially, like I said, you were already shot at by someone with a FAMAS, so running out mid definitely wasn't what you wanted to be doing there. If he was still there, he would have just mowed down your whole team. Definitely shouldn't have gone that direction. But now, this is, again, same thing as last round. Why rush into Z here? You killed one of their guys at Speedway. You know someone's in Z. You know someone has to be in B. So there's 3 people up. 1 Z, 1 B, maybe even 2 B, before this guy here, Refeed, just died. But now you know 1's quad. You should be 3 guys up here. You should be all 3 right here right now. And if all 3 of the terrorists were here and this guy was here, then this guy, number 1 here, Strasnik Pekino, dead. He's dead, and that's a free bomb plan at the very least, and actually putting you in a good position to win the round. So pushing Z is just hunting for a frag that's kind of unnecessary, because the guy's already hurt as well, which means as he rotates over, he's basically dead anyways. There's no reason to really delay. The point is, you want to be getting close up, and from the positions the team is in here, there's no close range angles that you can really get into. If you try and go through over to A, he's obviously got some long range angles. If you try and go through over to B, that guy's got a P90, which means he should in all reality, really be able to kill all three of you. Definitely, you got to recognize the time here. The whole team, you got 3 players up, 2 players are heading towards B. You need to be heading towards B as well. There's no reason to be sitting CT, and yeah, if all 3 of you went towards B, probably won that round. If all 3 of you went towards up Speedway early, also probably won that round. That's just indecision. And the thing is, you never want to be... The thing is, if you do something and you're really decisive about it, you're like, I'm going to go right up Speedway and we're going to hit A really quickly, okay? At least when you look back, you can go, I was wrong, shouldn't have run up Speedway. But if you are indecisive, you didn't actually do anything right or wrong. What you did wrong was that you were indecisive. You didn't make a decision that was like, I'm going to do this, and then you look back and you go, oh, well, that was correct. Good decision, great job, it worked, or it didn't work, and you can say bad job, right? Like, it's when you're decisive, you can say shit like that. When you're not decisive, then you get in a position like that, where you had no chance of actually winning the round, and you can't really say you did anything right or wrong, other than that you didn't decide what to do. Here, getting in events is good. Re-peeking towards middle, I'm not so sure about, because you had control of vents there, or checkers, sorry. And with control of checkers, there's no reason for you to actually be re-peeking towards mid. This guy should be lurking, so you should be the lurk. This guy should be picking up the bomb and heading over to B, since you already got a kill on someone in checkers, and you should be dropping out of vents and going checkers and trying to clear out sight. Now, obviously, you didn't know this guy was here. Could have checked that. Maybe you would have died to him anyways, but if you died to this guy in this corner, Spartaz, if you died to him, then at the very least, you know he's there, because now what's going to happen is these 2 players, Mao and Refik, there's a good chance that they come around this corner and he kills both of them in the back, whereas if you had gone through here, he shoots you in the back, then you get a trade kill and you're good to go. Not only that, but you come through checkers and you can like get someone maybe playing here or maybe playing here, which obviously they're not, but if they were, get them trapped in sight and you can kind of pinch them from multiple angles while this guy lurks and gets some free kills, and this guy comes over with the bomb, and you're actually in a really good position to win the round from there. Instead, you peek back towards mid, which isn't the worst play in the entire world, but it's not a good play. There's no real reason to be doing it other than to just check. And if you want to just check, you just go for a quick peek just to check, instead of going for a solid peek and then taking a couple shots and then trying to fall back. Shouldn't have done that. Here, they can't get to that side of the wall that quick. What you usually want to do is you want to run it, throw a flash off the floor, and it'll pop right here, and then you can peek out into here. Because what's going to happen is, if you delay like this and then you walk around the corner, if an opper opened up the door and he was going to kill you in the first place, he's going to kill you still. And if someone was rifling and pushing the door, he's actually going to be having a better angle than if you ran the whole way, because he's going to be like right here and he can kind of toy with you as you come out. Whereas if you're right around here and he's pushing the door, you're in actually a good position to actually take him down. Because look, if there was an opera at that door, which if any opera opens the door, they're probably going to stay at the door, opping towards you. They're going to kill you either way. So, open squeaky. I don't like how close you are to the door. Should be back along this back wall here. Makes it harder for them to hit you, because the thing is, there's only one place you can be coming from, right? You have to be inside the door, whereas you actually have to aim your crosshair and hit a nice shot on them. They can just shoot in the middle of the doorway. It's very simple, right? Whereas you have to land a nice shot. So if you're near the back, not only is that good, but you're also exposed to less angles when you open up. You can imagine peeking close to the door is peeking close to any angle. You always want to be as far back from the position you're peeking as possible. Nice shot. Re-peeking this guy is good, but don't even worry about pre-firing him. Maybe. If you want to pre-fire the guy, just go for a quick peek. I believe this was a pre-fire. It looked like it was a pre-fire on my screen from that first re-peek. You should just be quick peeking and pre-firing, but if you feel like you hit him really hard on the first burst, don't even worry about pre-firing. You just need to peek out and land a couple more shots. Pre-firing, if you feel like you hit him a few times, like 2 or 3 times, which would have taken him down, 20 or 30 health, then pre-firing only opens it up where you miss like 5 or 6 bullets and he kills you. If you just straight peek and then shoot him once or twice, it's much less likely that he has any chance of actually killing you. So here, watching B. I don't like that peek. That peek was bad. I make that mistake sometimes too, but it's just, it's not a good peek. You strafe out like W and D to there. It's not good. You need to come out like this. So you need to come out like this, strafe out like that. Okay, and that way, if someone is here, you're not definitely dead. Like, if someone was where that dead body is right there, you would 100% of the time be dead. 100% of the time. Not even a question. So now 2 on 3, clearing out some angles. You need to go aggressive here, but you need to try and stop making so much fucking noise, because they're rotating over. Now it's a 2 on 2 on this retake. If you were a little bit more quiet, it would be a 2 on 1 on the take, and it would be a lot more likely that you win the round. There you die running into sight. The thing I don't like there is that you probably shouldn't have run into sight. There's no reason for you to run into sight, because if you don't die there, all that means is the bomb gets planted by Rafik here, and you're both in sight, which is not a good thing. You don't want to both be in sight. It's terrible for holding retakes. If you stayed alive and you stayed like here, or if you stayed like B main, I don't know why you threw that smoke. That's not really the greatest smoke. Or you were like checkers or here, anywhere but B site. If he got the bomb planted, which is somewhat likely, then you have a good hold on the after plant. Whereas if you're both in sight, you have a terrible hold on the after plant. It's not actually going to work out for you very well. So there's really no reason that you should be doing that. Yeah. Here, there's no reason to be running through the fire. None at all. Those crisscross smokes, these smokes here, crisscross smokes, they're not going to dissipate in 2 seconds just because you don't run through them. You throw those, and then it's even better. Actually, it's even better. Even better if this guy pushes through the smoke and tries to get like here or here, because all you have to do is you can line up a pop flash from back here, one of your teammates can, or you can even throw a pop flash off the wall or something like that and blind this guy and get a free kill, because he can have no support from anywhere else in mid. No support at all. So the fact that he's going to get blinded and he's going to be stuck out in middle is a good thing. You don't want to force through that Molotov because you're like doing exactly what he wants you to do. And not only that, you never really want to force out middle the minute you throw those smokes. Because what's generally going to happen is they're going to be someone white box or, someone right here, spamming into garage from that spot. So usually throw those, wait 2 or 3 seconds, pop flash, go. And you'll find a ton of success instead of losing a player and losing half your health. Yeah. So your team's got A, you're flanking. No reason to run around that corner, just a little bit over greedy or overzealous, I guess. Because you have these 2 players they'll tell you they're not pushing into sight. The only reason you need to be running is if you know this speedway guy is like coming up into here or coming up into here, right? That's the only reason you need to actually run to get behind the guy. If you don't know if they're pushing, if you know they're not pushing, even better, no reason to run. All you're doing is allowing him to hear you and have a chance to actually kill you. If you instead just walk, and actually kind of sit here until you know they're starting to retake, where they're starting to throw some flashes and starting to try to make their way in, then actually you have an even better position to actually make the retake happen, because then they're definitely going to be looking the other direction. What's going to happen a lot is if people are waiting for the retake to happen, so he's waiting for Kara here to rotate over, he's going to be sitting here, looking at mid, which means a lot of the time you're going to die there. So there's no real reason to be doing that, especially the part where you make noise. Pulling out that Molotov, not a good idea. You shouldn't do that. You're in the middle of the open. There's no reason to pull out a Molotov. Oh well. Anti-eco, they're in there. I don't agree with that smoke. I can almost see the merit of that smoke a little bit if you throw it deeper But I really don't like it very much because you can hold a longer range angle like this if you don't throw that smoke. All you did by throwing that smoke was meaning someone ran through it and he's going to be right close to you immediately. And of course, you will have the advantage because you have an AK, but you'll have the advantage either way if they're peeking you at long range in the first place, so there's no real reason to... Ooh, nice shot. To put that advantage into a different position. The advantage is still there either way. Alright, so here, you never want to be holding this angle static. I don't know if I've talked about this in a video before, but holding angles... static angles where you're just standing still holding a spot, generally not what you want to be doing, especially if there's a good chance that someone's going to be peeking you. And this angle, people are going to be peeking you, especially from here on top of this box. People are going to be peeking you a lot, and if he peeks you and you're holding this angle static like this, he should realistically, in the majority of times, either kill you or do a lot of damage to you, much more damage than you do to him, in general. And, I mean, even though he has a USP, you can see he's still got that first shot off on you. Even though he didn't, you know, do a ton of damage, he did get the first shot off on you, and that should signal to you that that was a bad idea to play there. One thing you need to recognize, never run with your knife out. The thing is, there was an ESA post about this not that long ago. In pugs, okay, so for the record, your movement speed with a knife versus with your Glock out is about 10 pixels slower. 10 velocity slower, not even 10 pixels. It's minuscule. It's almost non-existent. The only reason you should be running with your knife out is if your secondary is like a deagle. It's just not worth it, because the thing is, you see pros do this in matches and in scrims and stuff like that. That's because in a scrim or in a match, you can have some degree of certainty as to where they are or what they're doing. You're not always going to be, like, wondering. Whereas in a pug or in matchmake, something like that, they could be anywhere. They're like a bunch of randoms. They could be doing anything, right? There's no reason to run with your knife out. I mean, it gives you its minuscule advantage. There's no reason to be doing that. Yeah, so that's just you dying. With a deagle, doesn't really mean too much at all. Dying again. What you need to be doing here, as you come back, as you come back over into A main like that, you need to be quick peeking. So imagine if, like, this is you on the other side, you're just quick peeking like this, just to check if there's an opera there, because a lot of the time there is going to be an opera there, and every time there's an opera there, if you straight peek around the corner, you're going to die. So there's no reason to straight peek around the corner like that. Okay. Pushing into CT, yeah, okay. One thing I don't like, I don't necessarily like pushing into CT because you're 3-on-4. There's no reason to do that. The bomb's going to get planted. You guys can fall back over into checkers or whatever. However, with your teammate pushing CT, I do like that you ran out to support your teammate. That's a good thing. Just to get that trade kill, make sure a kill is happening there. What you needed to do was just strafe out straight away on the left instead of you ran into your teammate for a little bit, but no harm, no foul, I guess. Now getting over here is good. Re-peeking, bad. Getting on this side means that Sunsec can stay here and you can stay here and you can have a little bit of a crossfire, right? And you can get something done. Re-peeking is bad. Unless, the only reason I would support a re-peek there is if you wanted to run back into sight because your teammate died. That's the only reason that re-peek, in my eyes, would be a good thing. And yeah, this round's basically over. Nothing you can really do there, so it doesn't really matter. At all. Here, saying crisscross smokes. This time you're AFK. Great. Okay. With those crisscross smokes, you should definitely be throwing a flash out at least, just so that you kind of put them on edge a little bit. In here through A. All right. Okay, so what you needed to do was going to forklift to clear out forklift was good. Continuing to try and take this fight down here was bad. Because there's no reason to take that fight. Your team, so far as you know, before, like, the refeat killed deal, like the instant you died. you should be supporting your team instead of peeking down this angle. So instead, you peek down that angle, see that this guy's here and nobody's here, peek out over here and try and like help your team, right? Clear that site, and then you stay at forklift and you try and surprise these people by jumping over it or by peeking it late or something like that. Holding that angle, the peek you did there is a disadvantageous peek, and it's never really going to do very well for you. So again, you don't want to be running right through when you throw the crisscross smokes. It's just bad. It's really bad. And you also don't want to be holding this angle because they are obviously on a buy round. They beat you last round, I believe. Let me just check. Yeah, they beat you last round. So they're on a buy round. So the most likely scenario here is if an opper peeks you. Actually, with Z smoked, okay, I can understand this a little bit more. Yeah, so that's fine. If Z wasn't smoked, definitely don't like that because the most obvious scenario is an opper peeks you and tries to peek through that crack in the smoke and gets a free kill. But with the Z smoked, don't see a problem with that necessarily. I don't really like it in general too much, but you know, it's no big deal. It's just a personal preference there. Staring through the wall. I see what you were going for, trying to spam him in that corner in checkers. You have to be very aware when you try and go for that spam in checkers there, because what's going to often happen is you're going to start that spam, he's going to, oh, he's spamming me, and he's going to strafe around and kill you while you spam that spot. So what you need to be doing is making sure nobody's like in the general area around there, then bursting it like 3 or 4 bullets, then like backing up and being ready for him to peek you, and then doing it again. Opening squeaky. I like that you're further back this time, but you still could be hugging that back wall, which I would prefer. I mean, that flash isn't going to do very much. Yeah, you shouldn't be, the thing is there, you shouldn't be forcing out Squeaky first. Your team should be running out through A main, then you should be forcing out Squeaky. Squeaky is a spot where you try and get some damage done on anybody over here, get some guys on forklift, guys up here, you know, guys around here, you know, things like that. You're just there to support your team. You shouldn't be the one running out first. Your team should definitely be running out before you, and worst case scenario, you run out a little bit later. For this B push, this is I mean, it's a flash. It's definitely a flash, but you can throw a better flash if you, like, run from here, and then you, like, aim at the floor right here, or right here, and then jump and throw, and it's going to land and blow up right here, which will blind any oppers over here, instead of the flash that you threw. Go well. Yeah, good take. Yeah, I really like that plant. Good job. It's my opinion that you should never be planting back here, almost never, because this plant is safe from heaven, and as is this plant. This plant here in that box there, both are safe from heaven, and actually this plant at the box is safer from CT than the plant here. The only reason you should ever not be planting, the only reason you should be planting here is if you think they're coming from B main, which obviously they're not. So, good plant. I don't really like this spot. You have no support from your teammates, really. I've just never liked that spot. I would prefer if you played behind the box here, because you can jump up on the box. Like, oh, it's freezing my crosshair. I hate this game. You can jump up on the box like this and have like your head showing looking into heaven or something like that. Just a little bit better of an angle. No reason to force it. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. Damn it. Alright, there we go. So, heading into this one. You're going for a smoke and a kit. Don't see a problem with that necessarily. I prefer if you play Z, but actually you have a teammate in Z, so that's fine. I also prefer teams play 2-1-2 pistol round. I would prefer, since, okay, look at this setup. You should be up here. Your teammate here, let me see. Yeah, he's going to call if they're coming middle, and then you can head back over there and support. You need to be supporting A, because this guy cannot solo hold A. Solo holding A is not possible. It's never going to happen. And see, that's what happens. Your teammate dies. So, Best case scenario there, he delays them, you rotate over, and maybe you get some kills. Worst case scenario, exactly that happens, and then they're in sight and there's nothing you can do about it. So you definitely don't want to be allowing him to solo A. It's just not good. Just not good. There, you kind of got stuck. There's nothing you could do to win that round, really. So no blame on you for losing that. Didn't play it any way weird, I know, which is fine. So here, pushing through the smoke, quite like this. I prefer, if you want to push through the smoke, though, what you do is you come into the smoke, and then strafe left. And that way you're not coming out in the middle of the open. You'll actually, any smoke in main will cover you from this doorway, which means you're going to be a little bit less out in the open than, you know, you don't do that. I don't like you force buying every round. What's the plan here? First of all, I don't like force buying very much on round 2 anymore after the SMG update, because what's going to happen is, like, okay, so force buying is now somewhat more likely to win you the round. However, if you don't win the round, you've basically done no economic damage, and you've taken a lot of economic damage. So I don't think it's worth it to go for force buys. It's just not going to work out that much in my eyes, but oh well, you went for it. That's fine. Nothing extremely wrong with that, right? But force buying on round 3 is not a good idea. Definitely should have gone for a full save. If you force buy on round 2, you need to go for a full save on round 3. And there you're getting punished. You know, I didn't even get a kill with either force buy. And now on the first gun round, what should be the first gun round, your whole team's broke. So your whole team went for force buys. So I guess if your whole team was going for force buys, you may as well have done that as well. But that was just a bad play by your whole team. There, taking the engagement, nothing wrong with that. Finally on a buy round. 5 rounds into the half, or 4, yeah, 5th round, and so you're gonna get into vents. This is good. Running vents late is bad. What you want to be doing is throwing that smoke and immediately running up to vents, because when you run up to vents late, someone could very easily peek you from on top of the box up here, and then you'd be in the middle of the open, and it's a free kill. Not only that, but someone could easily flash through and run through, and it's also an easy kill. You need to make sure if you're trying to push up in events like that, you do it early, because then you can beat this player out. You can't actually catch you running in events. You have to be very careful holding this angle, because someone could definitely come up to this wall, crouch, and then see your feet. Peeking towards mid. Personally, I prefer to peek towards mid late. By late, I mean you have a teammate spotting middle, so there's no reason for you to peek middle, because the only possible outcome when you peek middle like that is going to be that they are waiting for you middle. That's the only possible real outcome, because if they're out middle, your teammate calls it, so you know. If they're not out middle, your teammate calls it, so you know. Which means if they're not out middle, the only thing you're ever going to see is someone there waiting for you. And that's a disadvantageous gunfight to take. So there's no reason to be doing it. So here, I don't have any problems holding this angle. It's a good angle. I would prefer, though, before you came up to this angle, to break vents. That way he doesn't know that you're not in vents. Because if you break vents, then he has to worry about vents the whole time, and he actually might think that you're doing the same thing you did last round, where you hide in the side of vents. When you don't break vents, he knows that you're either here, here, or here. And here, in my eyes, is actually a very likely position when you don't break vents. So that's something that I'd be peeking fairly quickly. Your teammate's going to get the kill. When your teammate gets that kill, it would sometimes be a good idea to wait for that frag cam and then push in. However, you are in a 5-on-3 now, so I would recommend against it. However, again, your teammate did just die at B, so I would push through. I prefer to push through than go vents, because you're closer to pushing through, and pushing through, if you think about it as which one is technically better, pushing through and going on this flank is technically better, which is why I would prefer that you do it, especially if you can get there early. The thing about flanking is it's a lot about timing. If you flank early, you're going to have a lot of success on that flank because they're not going to be turned around waiting for you yet. If you flank late, then it's almost actually a lot of the time better to rotate through vents because they're going to have someone waiting for the flank. So maybe that's a bad example. I'm thinking more of an example like on Inferno. If you're playing, Arch side on Inferno and they go B, or you're playing truck side maybe, do you want to flank or do you want to rotate through CT? Well, if you're flanking quickly, flank. If you're flanking late, go through CT. So anyways, if you're flanking quickly, I think the better idea is to always go behind them instead of going through vents here, and you'll be in a better position in my eyes. Yep. And here, he's in sight, but the bomb's not been planted. So this is the position where you tell this guy, hey, buddy, rotate over to A. Because the bomb's not been planted. The only reason he wouldn't have planted the bomb is that the bomb's not there. And if the bomb's not there, where else can it be? Well, it could be timed out in T-spawn, or more likely than that, it could be going towards A. And in which case, you should be totally ignoring this guy and going towards the other side. Or, well, you and one of your teammates should be trying to pinch on him and get that kill, but your teammate in CT here should have gone towards A, because if this was a fake, the bomb would already be planted. Okay. There are merits to playing two people together in a 2-on-1. There are. But I much prefer one player plays A, spots it and calls for a rotate, and one player plays B, spots it and calls for a rotate, and then you spot the guy out, take a couple shots maybe, nade him, flash him, whatever, delay him, your teammate rotates in and you retake together, instead of playing together, because then you're going to get the latest possible knowledge that this guy's planted the bomb B, and he can basically do anything he wants. So playing two together, generally I would say don't do that. Yeah, and even what you're doing, look, you're rotating different spots. That completely defeats the purpose of playing two together. If you're going to play two together, you rotate together. So one of you CT, one of you heaven, or both of you CT, or not both of you heaven. Don't do that, please. So one of you CT, one of you heaven, or both of you CT, and then you can get an immediate trade kill. Instead, Rafik here is running through vents and you're running through CT, so he could easily, especially because you played together, which means he can be in these weird positions where he's pushed up like he is, right? And get some free kills on you, and that's really bad because he can surprise one of you, get the kill, and then reset and get the kill on the next guy, which you never want that to happen. You never want that to happen where you can kill one guy and then has plenty of time to reset, choose a different spot, and kill the next guy. You need to be there to get trade kills as much as possible. So if you're going to play one-on-one either way, there's no reason for you to be playing together in the beginning where you played both at truck. Yeah. And there, he's going to kill you. And now he has plenty of time to reset, and I'm not even going to worry about the rest of this round. So your teammate did win the round, I believe. Here in this round, if you're playing middle, I want to say that buying a smoke is better than buying two flashes, simply so you can smoke this off and get pushed up, because you're not really... If you get into vents, or you get over here, or you get on top of here, like up above... up above, you can get on that little thing up there. You're not going to be using your flashes in any three of those positions. What are you going to be using your flashes for? Nothing, right? So there's no reason to actually try and force it and buy two flashes, because you don't need two flashes if you have a smoke and you can get close up. So here, rotating through vents. I like this rotate through vents because you couldn't get on that flank quick enough. Yeah, however, I don't like that you dropped out of vents. I don't like that you dropped out of vents because it's 5-on-1. There's no reason for you to drop out of vents, and now this guy is solo at A, and if this guy died, the guy could get the bomb plant if the bomb was up, which it's not, so it's down. But I don't like you dropping out of vents because there's no real reason to do it, because the whole team on their side is dead already. So you dropping out of vents really doesn't do anything for you. You may as well just stay in vents there. I don't like this angle because you're in the middle of the open. If you miss your first shot, you are definitely screwed. So there's no reason to be walking up there. You gotta run up. Okay, I like that spot. You got to run up until like right here. So you throw that smoke immediately, run up until like right here, and then walk. And that way they can't hear you when you walk up. Or something like that. You could walk a little bit closer, but what you need to do is make sure you don't delay. Because what you did here, run out, smoke this, run out to here, and then go, okay, let's walk. Don't really like that, but actually I can see the reasoning behind that, where you're going out to white box in case they're rushing mid and then you're walking up. So it's not the end of the world. And actually, if you have support from a player here, then that is perfectly fine, because then you have support if that guy tries to boost over the box. But without support, you need to do something else, generally. If you don't have support from a player in Z trying to cover that boost, you need to do something else, because you're too exposed to the player in boost. You're taking too much of a risk to get pushed up there, whereas it's much more safe to stay at this box, and then you wouldn't really be taking a risk at all, and you'd be in a good position anyways. So here, you're in a 2-on-2. You should have forced up here. You missed a shot on this guy. He's falling back. You should have gone immediately up to this box here. Because you get a better angle on him. This is a bad angle. This to here to here is a bad angle. You're going to lose that fight the majority of the time. What you want to do is you want to get to this box here a little bit closer up. You have a good gun, so you can definitely win the battle. You have 2 flashes, which means you can throw flashes, which you can't throw from here. You can't flash from here. If you're here, you can flash off the wall and things like that, and you'll be in a better position. From here, definitely cannot flash. You're in a bad position engagement-wise. You're just in a bad position. And not only that, but you're taking a long time to retake the site, which is not something you really have the ability to do. You need to be going as quickly as possible. And there you're going to die. Yep. Oh my, there we go. Cursor wasn't showing up there for a second. Now you've got a FAMAS. I would recommend not playing Z with a FAMAS. I'd rather you play sandbags if you're going to play middle, or here. Obviously, your teammate's playing there, so I'd rather you play sandbags. Just because it's a better spot. I mean, this is a spot where you're going to get killed a lot. Running through this smoke, obviously a bad idea. You should have gone heaven. Or if you're going to run through that smoke, you jump out to the right, and that way you're kind of less exposed to B main and checkers, and you can just deal with this guy. Or don't run through the smoke. Just not good. But if you're going to run through the smoke, you got to strafe out to the right or strafe out to the left. Whoops. Strafe out to the left or strafe out to the right. That way, you're covered a little bit, because at least this wall here will cover you just a tiny bit from this guy in checkers, right? Which means you only have to deal with these guys B main, whereas if you come out here, you only have to deal with this guy in sight, pretty much. Of course, pushing out, okay, so you did strafe out to the wall, that's great. You just need to make sure you do that a little bit quicker, and you need to make sure that you don't push through the smoke like that very often, because it's not a good idea. You don't do that. Because you're just so exposed. There's no reason for you to push through that smoke straight through it. You go through heaven and you'll have a better angle, or you strafe out to the right, maybe, but your teammate was alive at generator. So if your teammate was dead, then pushing through that smoke, definitely a good idea. Instead, on that round, what I would have preferred is you stayed CT, tossed a couple flashes through to support, and tried to spray through the smoke just to get some damage and try and support your teammate a little bit. If your teammate was dead and you were in like a 3-on-4 there, then jumping out to the right and trying to stop the bomb plant would be a good idea. But because your teammate was alive, I don't think that was a good idea. You have to force buy up here with the CZ, so I understand this. Not quite able to get both kills, unfortunately. And actually, you're going to win this round, probably, and you have a teammate that disconnected, so that's interesting. Okay. Now, again, with the FAMAS, I prefer you play at the box or play over here. Playing in the middle of the open, never a good idea. Okay, never a good idea. There's no way for you to escape, and especially with a FAMAS, where you're going to be getting outgunned a lot of the time. Like, more than half the time they're gonna have an AK that's gonna be able to outshoot you. There's no reason to be in the middle of the open, especially if they have an op. So like I'd say 70% of the time there you just get completely demolished, and the other 30% of the time you either see someone that's kind of got their knife out, or you it's not good. You shouldn't be in the middle of the open. Really shouldn't be. You should be staying behind cover and then strafing out, taking a couple shots, strafing back in. That's all you should be doing. That's the best way to get engagements here in middle. Because you can control the engagement. You always want to control your engagements. You never want to get into these engagements where they're controlling it. Because when they're controlling the engagement, they choose when they want to disengage. So they decide if it's a bad battle and they disengage. Well, you can't decide that, which means they have a huge advantage basically right off the start. It's just really bad to be in the middle of the open. Here, 1-on-2. You know one's in sight, and you know one's towards B main or checkers. So there's the first one, good job. You see him in checkers. You really should have tried to take that gunfight instead of going into sight. And I would have preferred you get off the bomb just a little bit earlier there. Because he had a better angle than he would have. If you had strafed off the bomb and peeked just like a second earlier, then you would have put him in the position where he was in the middle of the open when you peeked out on him. Which would have given you a better chance to actually land the kill. Obviously you did anyways, but still. And now you're going to lose the round as soon as that guy just reconnects. That's unfortunate. But anyways, that's going to be the end of the game, and that's going to be the only demo review I'm doing for now. But like I said, I'm going to be doing all my demo reviews on Twitch now, twitch.tv/vooCSGO. I won't be answering chat while I'm doing the demo reviews, but I can't deal with like 7 hours of render and upload time. It's just not something I'm going to be doing. So anyways, this is how I'm going to be doing them. I know it means that sometimes I might not be able to cut, because I have done cuts on my previous demo reviews quite a few times. I understand that. I also understand that the quality is not going to be quite as good, and I'm sorry for that. I will be streaming 60 FPS 1080p in the next couple weeks, so it'll be top notch there pretty soon. But for now, it's a demo review, man. You don't need fucking high quality 60 FPS. Are you for real? Come on.